know, it's very rare interview with Lazy Lays, because Lays is not the dude that does a lot of interviews. I'm always behind the scenes doing what I do, but I want to shout out to Canada because we never really get to talk to you guys directly and really get to sort of salute you for your intelligence and understanding of the true hip-hop culture and where it comes from and how it's developed and where it is. So salute to the Great White North, salute to Canada itself, you know. And the great thing what I like about Canada is that it's not as segregated in the state as it is in the States. Hip-hop is hip-hop across Canada. It's like a unified language, you know. So really salute to y'all for being who you are, you know. I'm glad we're here.
Yeah, it's the Archivist, y'all. Exclusively interviewing Lazy Lays of the infamous MOP.
It's a very rare one. You know, I don't do many interviews. Y'all know that.
And how did it begin? Your co-production, you've definitely been in since the early days.
Well, honestly, the way I saw MOP was, it was just out of a situation where being from Brownsville and making it out of Brownsville, I always wanted to come back and I always wanted to show love to my neighborhood. I love Brownsville because Brownsville, I thought, was a notorious neighborhood of murder and all that kind of stuff. It actually was a beautiful place from when I know it. You know, we played stickball in the streets, we played skelly, we played punchball, we did block parties. I was one of the orchestrators of some of the most amazing block parties in Brownsville. So as the crime wave started to hit New York City in like the early 80s and mid 80s, you know, during the crack era, I always made it a point to come back and try to help somebody else in the neighborhood. And at that point, unfortunately, Fame's brother had got killed. God bless Malik, rest in peace. And he was always a good dude to me, Malik anyway. So when I saw his younger brother out there in the street struggling, trying to process his brother's death, I was like, you know what? I got to do something for him. He said he could rap. I said, well, can you rap? So I took him to a club and I threw him on the stage where we did it. We did it live and freestyle live. If you could rap, that will put you in front of a bunch of people. You got to do it live. He went up there, he did it live, he killed it. And that's how it started.
And can you elaborate on the games from the crazy times with CeeLo and the Scully board?
Well, CeeLo, the 3-dice game, CeeLo was a little different from the craps game, which is the 2-dice game they use on the west side in Chicago and Detroit. CeeLo, we used to do it. That was a gambling game. We used to do, you know, that was something down in the gambling hole. We always mimicked the big players, the big gambling spots. I mean, we used to play CeeLo for baseball cards and Skelly. That was a child's game, man. That's how we got through the day, you know what I mean? We was imaginative. We didn't have no video games. I think the most we had was, I think, an Atari with just Space Invaders had just came out or some shit like that, Pong and some shit. So, you know, we was out in the street. That's what we did. Stickball, punchball, Coco Livio, CeeLo, all those games. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. All y'all real live dudes, and y'all know what it is. Y'all been through it, so y'all know what time it is.
And you have any times you can tell us about the bootleggers in NYC with the baseball bats?
Well, the bootlegging was serious. Especially, it hurt a lot of sales, especially if you was a street artist and you put your records out. Bootlegging hurt us in sales, but I think it was, honestly, I couldn't prove it. I believe it was an inside job because they always would get copies of our albums ahead of time and it would always hit the streets. And at the time, MOP had a very exacting way of dealing with people pirating their records. Unfortunately, you know, the man in the street, the little dude bootlegging records, he kind of got that firsthand, you know. You understood what the Mash Out Posse meant, you know.
And one of the best times around the world with MOP that you've shared with the fans?
I got to tell you, the universal language of hip hop is so powerful that every place I traveled on the planet, it's almost like we speak in that same language. I think hip hop reformatted the planet Earth because you can go into a country like Bosnia, we went to Bosnia and these kids was telling us how he had lost his mother and his brother in a landmine, and we thought about how hard it was in Brownsville where cats, you know, we would go through our little shit. And I'm like, this motherfucker's 8 years old. and his brother stepped on a landmine, and they had shell holes that big into the houses and all that, and yet they still was passionate about hip hop. And at that point, I felt like, damn, man, Lays, you doing a good thing, man. You out here showing these people that you speak their language, music, and you giving them something to breathe on. And you know what? That was one of, I mean, I had a lot of great performances, but going through Bosnia and seeing the faces of those kids coming out to our shows, I mean, I couldn't pay enough money out of my pocket to go there and do that for those kids. And I would have done it for free. Even though we got paid a lot of money to do that, I would have done that shit for free 1,000 times to see that how we affected those kids.
And you got any hood stories from the hills?
You know, people talk about the way, like some of the OGs came to me from the Hill, and they said, you know what, Lays, the great thing about the way you talk about the stories is you're not like most rap groups that actually tell stories and name names of people that did things. We tell stories based on our experience and how we've been there, with respect to the honor of the OGs that laid down their time, energy, and life to maintain their respect. Because where we come from, respect was earned. If you wore a chain in the street, you earned the right to wear it. You know what I'm saying? So, salute to the Hill. Salute to the Hill is real, because honestly, it was really real. Whereas I see a lot of gangsters today are sort of made up gangsters. You know, for the most part, if you're from Brownsville, you whatever you did, you earned your right to be there.
And the Marksman tape. Tell us more about it and how it went.
The Marksman was an idea. Fame called me one day. Fame is probably one of, like, I look at MOP. If you were to call MOP visually what it is, you would say Lays is the vision, Fame is the engine, and Billy is the horn. You know what I'm saying? So, like, Fame, if the idea comes from Fame, then it's a golden idea, you know? And then I would say this is how the average person would view that idea, and then Billy would blare it out there for people to hear. So Fame called me and said, you know, let's do some project called St. Marksman, because, you know, we from the Marks, and we St. Marksman. And so we put together an incredible project. And at the time, we were on a label that was going through some issues. I think it was Rockefeller at the time. And I think that was during the beginning of that transition between Jay-Z and Damon Dash and Def Jam. And we felt like we got to keep putting music out in the street. And I think that was one of the first real creative mixtapes of its day. Like, it was like a creative mixtape that just wasn't somebody else's music, like a compilation of 30 songs of somebody else's songs. It was our own music. It was I think it was a classic mixtape of its time. I think it was groundbreaking.
And Do You Want Some Hardcore, directed by Hype Williams. Any history you want to tell us about?
Well, how about some hardcore? Cost me $8,000. And it was directed by this young kid named Hype Williams, who had this other young kid rolling with him named Little X from Canada. Salute to Little X. And they were scared to death. I gotta tell you the truth, you know what I'm saying? They came to Brownsville, and I won't say no names, but just all the guns was real in the video. And we were in a cemetery, and you know what? We didn't know that was gonna be groundbreaking. Everybody told us that we were too hard, and I said to everybody in the music business at the time, I said, well, if that's your only complaint, then we're gonna keep doing our thing. Too hard is not a complaint for me.
And any other projects that you're working on, and how's the tour been in Canada?
Well, I got a million projects, man. I'm a creative spirit. I mean, Lazy Lays is a guy that, you know, a super platinum rapper would call at 2 o'clock in the morning and just sort of lay out his plan and vision, his creative idea, and we would discuss it creatively, because he know that for me, hip-hop is my lifeblood. Like, I breathe and think. There is no format to hip-hop. I won't tell you that hip-hop is the 4 elements of, how do you say, hip-hop. It's breaking, graffiti, DJing, MCing. You know, to me, hip-hop is a way of life. I wouldn't even corner it like that. Even though Brother Chris and other people will say that, I would say, nah, B. I love you for thinking that, but actually hip hop for me is taking something that's not available and creating something new out of it. So when it comes to hip hop, it's always an expanse to me. It could be anything. It could be a motherfucker creating a new technology. Like right now, the new wave is there's all these new technological advances in hip hop, and I think forget every other project I'm working on. I just want to embrace that new era, that new wave of young kids that are trying to that are adapting their idea of hip hop into this technology. Because honestly, I started hip hop on the motherfucking hi-fi. You know what I'm saying? And it was one turntable, and it was a 45, and I was in my crib at the parties. I'm scratching on that shit, and then to Technique, B10s, to 1200s, to everything else, and now to Pro Tools and Logic and all that stuff. That shit is all good. So don't get stuck. All I can tell y'all is don't get stuck into a prefabricated vision of what you think hip hop music is. Hip hop is saying, I'm gonna take everything that's available to me and create a whole new thing, and that's what makes hip hop.
And your best tour and largest crowd you've ever rocked?
Ah, shit, man, it's crazy. I mean, MOPs became like, I can tell you, Frauenfeld, Kemp, Splash, Smoking Grooves. Smoking Grooves, by the way, won some of the best tours I had. God bless Guru from Gangstar. I mean, Primo, they took us out there and we rocked it for those crowds. Touring with Rage Against the Machine and Gangstar. Touring with, I couldn't tell you, man, because some of my best shows is like 50 people in a small club in the bar somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It didn't matter to us, man. Wherever there was a mic and a stage, you got it popping. So it's all good. Hip hop is universal worldwide, and right now there's no such thing as an audience now, where it's you to the crowd, because everything you're doing is on TV. So everything we do now, the world can see it.
And your best hip hop memory you've been part of or contributed to?
Too many to name. I gotta tell you, from Union Square, Latin Quarters, to MOP. You know what? I'm gonna say the first time MOP performed How About Some Hardcore at the release party at the Melting Pot, that was a ratification moment. I remember Biggie came, and Biggie and Fame was real close, and Jay-Z, Young, he came, and it was like everybody that was trying to do what they needed to do. Puff was there, and it was at that moment you could look at all these faces of people that are icons in the music today, and you could look at them and go, Pac was there. I remember him and Pac, Biggie and Pac used to hang out, and Tretch from Naughty by Nature. Everybody was there, and you looked at that, and it was like, yo, this is a mosaic of what hip hop is. Wu-Tang was there, RZA was there, ODB, and all these faces, even some of them ain't here now. I'm watching them when they was young, hungry, inventive, and going, we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow. But right now, what's happening on this stage is some dope ass shit. And subsequently, it was a fight after that, and somebody got beat the fuck up. But that's an MOP party. It happened all the time.
And you got anything to say to Canada?
Hey, Canada, thank you again for having MOP and embracing us and welcoming us. I mean, even to the point where we go through customs, they show us love. They high-five us through customs. It's almost like people like, you can't get into Canada because y'all so hard. I was like, nah, man, you know what? We so real when we come through here. Canadians are real people. Some of the nicest people. I met some of the nicest people I've ever met in Canada. And I met, on the flip side, met some of the toughest motherfuckers I've ever met in Canada. Like, real. Like, motherfucker, I would tear your motherfucking head off. So, like, honestly, Canada, we always gonna show love to Canada, man. As long as y'all keep hip-hop alive and keep holding to it and keep your minds open to creative ways of making good music, I think we always gonna be here for Canada.
And you have anything to add to our legendary interview?
First of all, yourself, a legend is interviewing a legend, and So I just want to thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate you. I mean, you walk in the steps of giants, and you walk well. So keep representing hip hop music, you know, because I will.
And you got any shouts?
Shout out to the whole crew, First Family for Life. That's how we do this. MOP Fire Squad, Fox, Tef. You know, shout out to Primo. Catch that new MOP DJ Premier album. We're actually finishing it up, and I think next month Primo just had a knee operation, so he's healing. So that means he got to sit his ass down and finish making them fucking beats. So he finished it up in July. I think it's a good album. I think it's what the people want, and I want to shout out just like every aspect of this picture that made us who we are. Like Premier, from Bumpy, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, G-Rap. These are all that element of hip hop music. KRS-One is what we try to represent. Grandmaster Caz from the Cold Crush 4. Real just dope MCs and DJs, DJ Jazzy J, that really sort of formatted and built, and that we tried to follow their tradition in what we're doing. And I think we're doing a good job of it, though. I think we carrying our flag well, and our flag is unique. There will never be another MOP. So as long as we carry out, it will continue as long as we want to keep doing it. And if y'all keep showing up, then we're going to keep doing it.
And shouts to Lazy Lays. And this is the Archivist, and you already know the name, y'all.
Shout out to Archivist, shout out to Canada, shout out to hip hop, shout out to the world famous MOP. Salute.